Hey crafters, are you crafting on a budget? Well, I have some cards to make with you today that are going to show you how to create a unique and easy design that fits your budget. Let's head down to the crafting table. Okay, we all have scraps laying around, right? Well, if you have a piece of scrap paper, you just need to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 5 1/2 to create our base card. Now, I'm going to show you two ways to do this, but this first way is just taking a piece of scrap cardstock. So we have that already cut to 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. I found a piece of cardstock laying around that was a little bigger than this, and I just cut it down. Now, I want to remind you that our measurements will be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com. So you can go right over there, click on my blog, and you'll be able to get the measurements. Okay, the next thing you want to do is on the short side, put it in your trimmer. And we are going to score at 1 inch. So just put it in your trimmer, give it a good score, and then crease it really well. Now, the next thing you want to do is grab that pattern paper that you have that is a bunch of scraps. And maybe it's all different sizes, right? So we have just a small piece of scrap paper here, and I want my lines to go vertical. So be mindful of that if you have pattern paper that has a direction. Now on this piece of scrap paper, we are just cutting 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I want my lines vertical, so my column, that's the way I like to think about it, is at 4 1/4. And that's because we are cutting the exact size of a card, of an A2 card. And we are going to add this right to the back of that tab, and that creates our card. Now look at how special that is. Look at how we have another design on the back because our pattern paper is double-sided. So this is going to create our A2 card. But wait, we're not through. Because this is Technique Tuesday, I have a technique to show you that I think you're really going to like. Let's bring in a piece of paper. We are going to use this stamp set, Regal Flora. Just love these stamps because you don't have to color them. It's a distinctive stamp, so it already does the shading for you. I'm going to bring in Garden Green and Petunia Pop for the flowers. And I've also cut a mask just so that I can stamp over the flowers, and you're going to see what I mean by that. So we're going to bring in our stamps, and I'm going to start with the flowers. If you want to stamp them on white and then cut them out using the dies that are included with the stamp kit when you buy the bundle, you can do that. But what a creative way, what a quick way to create a card, right? So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap right into my ink pad. I'm going to stamp, and I'm just going to hold it and let all that rich ink transfer to our pattern paper. Oh, now look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, we're not done. Let's do another one. Let's turn it this way. And just stamp it. Oh, just love this technique of stamping over your patterned paper. Now, this is where I'm going to use my mask. So we're just going to put it just like this. Now, whenever I mask, I back it out just a little bit. I don't put it right on the line. I back it down just a little bit. Now we're going to do our leaves. So tap, tap, tap. Just going to hold that. And look at that. How pretty is that? We're going to do the same thing to this one. Just going to back my mask just down just a little bit from the edge. I'm going to bring this stamp back in, and I'm going to stamp right here. And that way it looks like it's coming from the back side of the flowers. Look at that. Look at how pretty that looks. Now we are ready to go ahead and put this on our card. Now remember, this is the first step that I'm going to show you how to create this card. You take just a piece of scrap paper, you make sure that it's cut 5 1/4 to 5 1/2, and then you fold it over 1 inch. So we're just going to bring in our tape runner. We're going to add some tape right here on this tab. Line it up and fold it over. Now look at that. Look at that beautiful card. Now we need to do our pocket right here. So our pocket, you can do the stripes if you want. You could do another coordinating color. I'm going to go ahead and just keep the stripes there. So we are going to cut our pocket at 2 by 4. And this time I want my lines to go horizontal. So I'm going to cut this at 4. And cut it at 2. Now, before I put this down, and I cut it short so that I have a border all the way around it on the sides and on the bottom. But before I do that, I'm going to bring in a 1 1/2 inch circle, and I'm just going to give it a little bitty half moon. It makes it easier to see the card. Look at that. And it even looks more professional, right? Now, how am I going to attach this to the card? Well, I am going to bring in some tear and tape. And I have 1/4 inch tear and tape. And I'm just going to put it on the sides and the bottom. Now, you can use this for a gift card if you want, but we're just going to use it for a note card. This is a quick and easy card that is perfect if you're on a budget. And aren't we all on a budget? Okay, and I just looked to make sure that I have the same border on the sides and on the bottom. And now we're going to just work with our note card. We've taken a piece of scrap paper and we've just evened it out a little bit to where it's 3 1/2 by 4, and it slides in perfectly right in our little pocket. But let's decorate this, right? We are going to use a sentiment that says, "Sending love your way." Now I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy, and we're going to stamp it to the left because I'm going to put a flower over here. Let's go ahead and bring in our mask one more time. And let's put some beautiful leaves on this flower to decorate the inside of our card. Look at that. We just have a few little leaves just peeking out. So we have the inside of our card done. We can just slip that note card right in. But what are we going to do to the outside? Let me show you. What we did is we took the stamp from this kit, Wishing I Were There to Give You a Hug. We're taking this Blackberry Bliss. Because I don't have the right rectangle die to cut this out, I need just a little bitty edge. Let me show you a technique. I just took a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to put this up on dimensionals, and I'm just going to line it up. Now remember, I took a piece of scrap paper and I squared it off so that this is completely straight. And now I'm just going to give myself as much border as I want, because remember, I didn't have a rectangle that fit what I wanted. So now I have two edges perfect, and I'm just going to cut these edges to match. We're going to take the front of our card and we're just going to lay this down once again on dimensionals to give it some height. just going to add this right to the center of the card, making sure that we have the same margins on both sides. And look at that card. How pretty is that card? A card on a budget, right? We took scrap paper for this. We took a piece of scrap pattern paper and created our very own beautiful, easy, and unique card. But let's make another one because I want to show you another way you can do it. If you don't have any scrap paper to make your base card like we did right here, there is another way. You can take just a regular A2 card, bring in your trimmer, and we are going to cut it at 3 1/4, the front panel. That will leave us with our little tab. Now you have this wonderful piece of scrap that you can use on any card that you choose. Now on this one, we are going to bring in simply Xenia as the stamp set that we'll be using. We also will be using this piece of scrap paper that I have. Now, what I want to do is cut out a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I want to just cut it out to about right here because I don't want these flowers at the top. Now, when you cut this, you're going to have a beautiful scrap that you can use on the top of a card. So let's go ahead and bring in our trimmer and let's get our column cut. We know that we need 4 1/4, so let's go ahead and cut that. Now we have this piece of paper and we need this cut at 5 1/2. Now we have this to add right to the front of our card, and look at that. So pretty. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and stamp our message right there. So we are stamping, "Words fail to express my gratitude." I'm going to put it right at the top. Just going to add some tape and add this to my card. And look at how pretty that turned out. Now you don't have to cut another scrap piece of paper to fit your sentiment. You have it right there stamped on your card, just like we did the flowers. But let's go ahead and add our inside right here. So we cut our note card. We also cut a piece of paper for our pocket, right, that we're going to add right here. So let's go ahead and get that cut. Now remember, that's 2 by 4. So we're going to just cut this 4. We are going to use our little punch just to cut a half moon out. Let's add our tear and tape right here on the sides and on the bottom. Take off our backing and add this right to the inside of our card. Now we have our card that just slips in right into the pocket, but we need to decorate this, right? So look what we did. We took a piece of our patterned paper and we are just going to lay it right here on the side. How pretty is that? So let's go ahead and just add this right to our card, and you need to decide exactly where you want it. I think I'll put it just like that, and that will allow me to cut a little bit off the top. So we're just going to turn it over, bring in our scissors, cut that excess, cut this at the bottom, and look at that. How pretty is that? Now we have a stamp for the inside. Thank you so much. We're going to add this right to the inside of our card. And look at that. Look at this. A card on a budget. Don't you love this? I love this. This one has a technique of stamping over the pattern paper. That really adds to the beauty, but it is so easy to do. It's a technique that we often forget. And then you open this up and you have your little card. Now you could add a gift card in there if you wanted to, but this is a perfect card on a budget. Look at this. We used some of the pattern paper here. So pretty. Now, this is the card that I showed you earlier. I used some of the dies to cut out leaves. Put the leaves also on the card here. And finally, look at this beautiful card. We found some scrap paper of our Christmas paper. We added that. How beautiful is that? We just added a strip. And then on this one, we wanted to show you how you could add a gift card, and look at that beautiful note card. So take a moment, leave a comment. What do you think about these cards? If you're on a budget, are perfect to make. We hope that you were inspired by this and that you run out and you make these really quick and easy cards that fit any budget. Maudie and I wish you lots of creative moments, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.